We had just moved into the new house 2 weeks earlier. Cheap rent, quiet neighborhood. The kind of place people don't ask too many questions about. After the divorce, it felt like a reset. Just me and Oliver, starting over. The first time he mentioned it, I didn't think much of it. He was sitting on the floor, drawing with crayons, talking under his breath. I asked who he was speaking to, and without even looking up, he said, "My friend. His name is Freddie." Kids do that. They invent people, especially after something like a divorce. I even felt relieved. At least he wasn't shutting down. At least he had something, or someone, to help him cope. But then he added something that stayed with me longer than it should have. He said, "Freddie doesn't like loud noises. He says it reminds him of before." I remember pausing, just for a second. It was vague, sure, but the way he said it didn't sound like imagination. It sounded remembered. I asked him what before meant. He shrugged. He didn't tell me yet. That was the first time I felt it, that slight discomfort. The kind you brush off because it's easier than thinking about it too hard. Over the next few days, Freddie became a regular part of conversation. Oliver would mention him casually, like a classmate or a neighbor. "Freddie was here earlier. Freddie doesn't like the kitchen. Freddie said I shouldn't open that door." That last one caught my attention. I asked him what door. He pointed down the hallway, toward the closet. I laughed it off, told him not to listen to imaginary friends. But that night, when I passed that same hallway, I noticed something I hadn't before. The closet door was slightly open, just enough to reveal darkness inside. I was sure I had closed it earlier. It didn't feel like much at the time, just a detail, just a house settling maybe. But the next morning, Oliver refused to walk past that hallway alone. He stood at the entrance, staring down it, waiting. I asked him for why. He said he's waiting for him to move. I felt something cold settle in my chest. I asked who he meant. Oliver looked confused, like I'd asked something obvious. "Freddie, he's standing there." I forced a smile, walked down the hallway myself. There was nothing there. Of course there wasn't. Just a narrow corridor, the closet door, and a faint smell I couldn't quite place. Something old, maybe damp. Still, I opened the closet. Empty. Boxes, a vacuum, nothing unusual. "See? No one's there," I said. Oliver didn't answer. He just kept staring past me, like I wasn't the one he was focused on. That night was the first time I heard it. I woke up around 2 a.m., not to a noise exactly, but to the absence of silence. You know that feeling? When something wakes you before your brain catches up? Then I heard it, whispering, soft, muffled, coming from Oliver's room. I got up slowly, trying not to make the floor creak. His door was slightly open. Inside, I could see him sitting up in bed, facing the corner, talking. I couldn't make out every word, but I heard enough. "No, he doesn't know yet, because you said not to tell him." Then Oliver nodded, actually nodded, like someone had just responded to him. My throat went dry. I pushed the door open a little more. "Oliver?" He turned immediately, too quickly, like he'd been caught. "You woke me up," he said. The room was silent, completely silent. "Who were you talking to?" I asked. He hesitated, just for a second. Then he denied of it. That was the first time he lied about Freddie. The next day, I tried to be rational. Kids lie, kids imagine things. Maybe he was half asleep. Maybe I misheard. I told myself all of it, and none of it stuck. Because later that afternoon, Oliver said something that changed everything. We were sitting at the kitchen table when he looked up at me and said, "Freddie said, the bad thing happened in your room." I felt a chill run through me. What bad thing? He shrugged again. He didn't say, just that it was loud, and then quiet. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I searched the house, every room, every corner, looking for something, anything that could explain where he was getting this from. That's when I found the CrawlSpace. It was hidden behind the hallway closet, a small sealed panel I hadn't noticed before. The edges were worn, like it had been opened and closed too many times. It took some effort to pry it loose. I used my phone light and looked inside. The walls were covered in scratches, deep ones, like something or someone had tried to claw their way out. And then I saw the drawings, childlike, crude, dozens of them, all over the walls. A tall figure, no face, standing next to a smaller one, and written over and over again in uneven handwriting, "Freddie, Freddie, Freddie." I pulled myself out of there immediately, slammed the panel shut. That night, I couldn't ignore it anymore. I started recording Oliver, just small things at first, leaving my phone outside his door, letting it run while he played alone. I told myself it was to prove something, to catch him talking to himself, to confirm it was all in his head. But the recordings didn't help. They made it worse. Because sometimes there were pauses in his speech, long, deliberate pauses, like he was listening. I once heard something else, a second voice, faint, distorted. I replayed it over and over again, trying to convince myself it was interference, background noise, anything else. But deep down, I knew. It wasn't. That same night, Oliver didn't come to bed. I found his room empty. The window was locked. The door was closed. There was nowhere for him to go. I searched the entire house, calling his name, checking every room twice, 3 times. Nothing. Then I heard it. A sound coming from inside the walls. Soft, rhythmic, like whispering. I followed it down the hallway, stopped in front of the closet. The same closet. The sound was clearer there. Not one voice, but 2. My hands were trembling as I pulled the door open. The panel behind it was already ajar, and then I heard it. "Dad?" It was Oliver's voice, muffled, distant. I dropped to my knees, reaching into the darkness. "Oliver, I'm here! Just keep talking!" But he didn't respond. Instead, another voice spoke, calm, steady. "He's busy right now." I froze. Every part of me went still. The voice continued. "You weren't supposed to find him yet." I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. My hand was still inside the CrawlSpace, but I didn't dare move it further. "Where is he?" I managed to whisper. A pause. Then, "He's where I was." Something shifted in the darkness, a soft, scraping sound, like fingers dragging across wood. I pulled my hand back instantly, slamming the panel shut. I didn't open it again. Not that night. Not the next. The police didn't find anything. No signs of forced entry. No evidence of anyone else in the house. Just a missing child. And a father who couldn't explain what happened. They told me it was stress, trauma, that I was hearing things. Maybe they're right. But I still have the recordings. And sometimes, late at night, I play them back. There's one I haven't shown anyone. It was recorded after Oliver disappeared. I don't remember pressing record. It starts with silence, then breathing, not mine, not his. And then a voice, clearer than before, says, "He's not imaginary anymore." A pause, and then knocking from inside the walls. Thanks for sipping tonight's tale with Haunted Brew. Don't forget to subscribe and sleep tight if you still can.